What's up, people?
That was cool.
We got a surprise appearance from Yule in the house tonight.
Greetings, people.
You, what are you doing? Are you moving?
Moving
I'm
where?
looking at
Oh
all
no,
them
I'm
boxes
just a
behind
mess.
you. Are you mute? Are you moving, or is that just your
No,
latest
no
wave
way.
of pops?
It's just wave of sodas and pops, basically. Yeah, yeah. I had to open the for the protectors that they come in the just it's a mess. I'm excited for you, man. I've been seeing a lot of new Masters of the Universe stuff that's being out there.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
assuming that you're still collecting any of the new
yeah,
figs that are
yeah,
out.
yeah. You know I purged the classics, right?
Nah,
After
I knew you
buying
would.
all of them, I purged them all.
Yes.
Purged them all. Made a nice little penny off of it too.
That's all that matters, that you were able to come up.
Oh yeah, I definitely came up. And yeah, no, I'm liking some of the new stuff, man. That 40th anniversary He-Man might just be the best He-Man that they made to date
I
from any
heard.
company.
I'm retired, so I'm a retired He-Man guy. So until they release the last new adventures He-Man in classics format, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Nope, it's never gonna happen. So I hope that they have a third party out there that makes stuff for us.
I know Super 7 said they wanted the license back, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, He-Man's hot right now. I think
Yeah.
Mattel's doing their very last push to make something happen before the rights eventually go away. Because I think they're foolish enough to actually get rid of it from themselves. They're like,
Look, this whole rights thing, no one knows what's true, what's not, because they got a line. That what was the rumor? End of 2022.
something to that effect. Yeah.
But
Okay.
they got a lineup for 2023 already. So, like, I don't think they're losing that license anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, whoever's they're paying the license to, I hope they'll let them renew it because
Yeah, because
otherwise
I
they're
don't
going to end
think
up.
they own it right now. I think that's the whole crux of it all. Who owns the Motu license anymore?
You're going to
You
get
know,
Super 7 if they decide they're going to fall back on it. So hopefully Mattel, got enough clout still.
I don't think you're gonna see these these He-Man things from Super 7 go. I mean, from Mattel go anywhere. Snake Mountain comes out next year, so now you're rolling into 2023. That Eternia playset. Oh, I don't know what they told people the shipping date is, but obviously that's sometime next year. So now we're already rolling into 2023 with a lot of shit. So
I wish I was more responsible when I was younger, so I could have bought a bigger house to buy an Eternia.
don't we all?
You know what I mean? To buy an Eternia, right? And put it and have a place for Eternia. So especially
Supposedly it's
since those
supposed
things connect
to
to Castle
scale
Grayskull and
decently with
Snake
classics.
Mountain.
The Eternia playset.
Yeah, I mean,
Supposedly, but
it works. It works. I think it would. For me,
close
it's
enough.
more about the figures than
yeah, I
anything
mean,
else.
it's a little. Their classics are taller than Origins or in Vintage, but they're just like a half a head to a head shorter, if that much, than the new Masterverse stuff. So it's kind of right in that middle pocket.
I definitely feel like I've taken the Scott Knightlick years for granted.
Hey,
Those are great
you guys
times.
miss him now, don't you?
I do. I definitely do. I mean, I didn't realize at the time how much of a pet project classics really was in the big scheme of things. It was Nichols and it was such a pet project that Mattel just kind of said, "Yeah, you can do whatever the heck you guys want with it. I mean,
Wow.
you guys can keep it afloat." And
At
that's
the
all they
time,
did.
Mattel was just kept trying to repump out new, basically vintage figures as a new packaging. That whole commemorative line, and people didn't want that stuff. There was no shows. You canceled the one good show and the 2000X show after what? A season and a half?
It was also kind of brand confusion because, like, in the late '90s, early 2000s, when they did release the re-release the old stuff. Believe me, I was happy to if I could find them, I would have bought them, but I was nowhere near a Sears or a Kmart for those when they were reselling them at the time, and so I was at the mercy of when eBay first came out. That's you're gonna have to buy it there. Mm-hmm. And remember back then when you could pay using a
check,
a money order,
money order.
Yeah, great times. Great times before PayPal. People will never remember that. Nah, I think you guys are good.
I just want to make sure I don't sound like I'm in the wind tunnel right now.
No, you sound fine. At worst, you could still hear my dog.
Nah, I don't hear your dog at all.
Good. I hear it loud.
What's up, Rock Jesus?
Not much. Freaking just got back from dinner a couple of minutes ago. Nah, freaking same shit. Freaking had to work in the rain a little bit today.
It's raining all fucking day. It was like a monsoon at one point outside.
Yeah.
It's gonna sound terrible, but I look forward to rain where I'm at.
It didn't start raining out here till about 3:00 or so.
Look, if I'm in the house and I ain't gotta be outside, I don't care if it rains. It can rain all damn day. Don't bother me.
You, where I'm from, when El Nino happened, I celebrated. I was so happy that it was raining where we're at. Southern California hardly ever rains, so
yeah, it sucks when your job is outside all day.
Yeah.
Oh no, I feel you. There were times when I was in the Army doing lots of things in the most uncomfortable weather situations ever, and nothing feels worse than wearing pants and underwear that's drenched.
Oh, I've
there ain't nothing you can do until
it's
time to
comes with the territory doing freaking landscaping. Whatever. But freaking, I got the Boba Fett Black Series from Book of Boba Fett show today.
Oh God, why?
It was the only one they had. It was the only one they had.
Classics figures. I mean, Black Series.
Yeah.
Not a classic.
Classics. No. I'm sorry. I don't have. I forget. I'm so into classics that I call everything freaking classics.
It's the only one they had, and I needed a Boba Fett. So
Star Wars classics.
You can't get the other ones anymore.
I get what I find on the shelves.
Oh.
I like looking for shit.
Oh, so you're one of those people I like to make fun of.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Bro, can I tell you something, E? Nothing made me more sad than our teams having to go against each other first round, bro. Because I root for the Mets. The only consolation prize for me out of that entire bunch was that we knocked off the Dodgers. So, but other than that, I was hoping that if it wasn't the Padres, it was definitely the Mets, because I wanted them to finally, get over that hump.
We don't talk about this. We don't talk about this. Let's move on. Let's move on. Hey, anybody in the chat, if you want to join, it's a hangout. It is an open forum tonight. Free for all.
Yeah.
Link is in the
so
Facebook
free for all.
group.
They added me up in here.
we let you on. We'll let anybody on.
You guys already watch Wakanda?
No.
Didn't get to that yet.
I was supposed to go. I was, trying to take the wife this weekend, but my son wound up with COVID. So we're all just staying in the house for Probably till next week. Hopefully,
Damn.
I'll get to see it.
How long till it's on streaming? Like a month or so, hey?
No, it's only, not that long, not that quick. I wish it was a month.
It's
I thought
gonna
it was
be.
pretty
I
quick
don't
these
think it's
days.
gonna
I thought it
do
was pretty
well.
quick
I mean,
these
it
days.
feels like it's that quick though most of the time. Everything comes
Yeah.
so fast now.
Yeah.
Like, not how it used to be.
Oh, no, that's
No,
why I'm
it
waiting for it.
definitely comes
Streaming.
faster, but they're gonna let this run in the movies for as long as possible. I know I read today that Wakanda Forever and Black Adam have been banned from China releases. China won't let them play those movies there, but they won't tell them why.
That's messed up.
Interesting.
Okay.
They have different,
Um,
when it comes to foreign films, they have different, very strict,
Regulations.
very, yeah. And I guess something in these movies they do not approve of. So
it wasn't something in these movies. It was the statements made by the former James Bond about the Dalai Lama. That's why that production's in hot water in China. I don't know about what's going on with the Disney stuff when it comes to them. You never really can tell. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's too ethnic for China. Who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe.
That's what I was thinking.
They're not feeling Kukulkan or Namur.
Ay, ay.
Man, they can kiss my ass. I'm not paying for that movie.
Oh, I'm going to see it. I think it's going to be good. I think it's
But
going to be good.
For what I've seen, the reviews that people have done on YouTube and stuff, it seems like it's going to be pretty good.
God,
Everybody I've talked to said it's awesome.
fuck YouTube and their reviews.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about YouTube. I'm talking to people that I trust their
No,
opinions.
I was referring to. Since you didn't say YouTube, obviously I wasn't referring to you. I was referring to the person who said YouTube.
I was defending YouTube. I was
Obviously.
defending us. You do not attack Jesus in my presence.
Captain Sabertooth. Captain Sabertooth over here.
Yeah, Captain Save It Jesus. That's me.
Yeah. YouTube channels are definitely more on the hater side of things.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Because
Well,
those,
they
those,
get- it gets
the
those
clicks.
hateful, they get the clicks.
Yeah.
Those hateful titles get people looking at them.
G.I. Joe fans are pissed off. No, they're
Click
not.
on it. They're like, hey, so
What-
one guy was mad that the shoe was yellow instead of brown. Everybody else is cool with it.
I saw some guy in a Marvel Legends group today make a post, and he said that since they've started the windowless packaging, there's paint issues, and that there was never a paint issue before when they had Windows.
So he never bought a toy before they had.
I couldn't even respond to that one. I just looked at it and I just like shook my head like I'm not even gonna respond. I'm just gonna keep scrolling by this one because there's no point.
That guy's higher than me.
That's up there too.
You're damn right.
High as giraffe nuts.
Somebody sounds like they're going to make something delicious to eat right now. Which one of you is making?
Oh, that was me. I was stirring my coffee.
I don't have
there
to
you
make
go.
anything delicious to eat. I got Taco Bell just sitting over here.
That's what's up, dude. I love me some Taco Bell. I think that's one
People
of the
talk
inside
shit all
jokes
they
about
want,
people
man.
I've
I got a chalupa over here. My wife just walked through the door. And
Hell
she just
yeah, dude.
She tiptoed in and set it on because she knew we were recording. So I got chalupa.
Easily
waiting.
the most underrated food in all of America, man. Taco Bell.
I haven't eaten Taco Bell
Underappreciated.
in years.
Yeah,
You gonna
Derek's
love a
not wrong.
chalupa.
I know
Yeah,
they.
but
I know
I don't-
they spazzed out. They spazzed out on freaking what you call it, the multiverse of madness because of like that 0.2 seconds of them saying,
Yeah,
America had,
American Chavez had two mothers.
yeah.
But I don't know what I haven't seen Black Panther, so I don't know if there's any LGBT representation in it yet, or Black Adam, which I probably will not be watching Black Adam anyway. So
I've heard it was good. I've heard
It was
it was
fun.
good.
I enjoyed myself. I really
Hey,
did.
are these same people that like Suicide Squad, right?
The new one.
Which Suicide Squad? Yeah.
It was well.
Doesn't
the
matter,
first
they were
Suicide
both
Squad was kind of
horrible.
meh.
Oh God.
Both
man.
Suicide Squad movies were bad.
EE sounds like a YouTube channel right now.
Both Suicide Squad movies were bad.
Like they're all trash.
I normally listen to what Critical Drinker has to say about stuff.
Well,
It's
he's
pretty
different. He's just
fair.
he likes to make fun of everything. So
He rips on stuff, and he'll shit on things plenty. But like, there's a level of respect with which he does
Yo,
it.
don't
too.
look right
Like,
now, but there's
if it's
somebody
good,
behind
he's gonna
you.
let you
I think
know.
they have
He's
a
not gonna
knife.
just hate it. But
I've
he's
seen
all right.
horror movies like that. Somebody just creeped up behind Yule with a ladder. I was making sure he was safe.
That's my old commander. He's definitely got my back
Okay. Okay, good.
all the way.
All right, good. I'm like, I've been on a horror movie kick,
old-
and I've seen
I
that
always-
same exact shot a lot.
I won't get stabbed by him. He's my good buddy. He's practically my brother, bro.
There you go. Heard and understood. That's cool.
Also, you mentioned in like the hate and stuff that you see on the YouTube channels. The one show that I'm not seeing any of that for is Andor. Like the first couple when they came out, everybody was complaining it was boring, but after that, everybody shut their mouths. They can't
because they can't even
they
make
won't-
anything up about what's wrong with it.
No, they'd have to be
Yeah.
pulling it out of
Can't get
nowhere.
for it either.
Yeah. But did
actually-
you
Well, I
see
mean-
Jar Jar Binks in the background of episode 9? No, motherfucker, because he wasn't there.
To put it in proper context, though, you have to admit some of the pacing's a little.
Sure.
No.
Well, at least that's part the way the episodes are broken down. But I think
Well,
as far as the overall thing, it's brilliant and awesome.
This is
To
the
me, it
best
feels
way
like a
I broke it.
Netflix show that just happens to be Star Wars. That's what it feels like to me.
Dormammu does, I do the pod with Dormammu and Shoki, and Dormammu watched like the first or second episode, and he's like, "Nah, dude, it's too slow and boring for me." And this is the best way I could explain it to him. Like, you're looking at it like a Star Wars movie. Look at it like an old James Bond movie. Lots of talking, lots of really slow parts, and then huge action in little bursts. But they're explaining everything that's happening all the way up to that point and everything that happens afterwards. If you watch it like a spy movie, this show is
Man,
Mwah.
watch it like a
fucking
movie
perfect.
that hasn't been made in the last 10 years where everything is zip zoom bang and that's
Yeah.
all you get.
It's all
story takes a deep back
flashes
seat
and
to-
You know,
yeah, this actually has story to it. It's fucking beautiful.
The way it's produced, at least the way it's done, it feels all really like watching House of Cards.
Mhm.
Like I said, more like a Netflix
slow
show.
burn,
Yeah,
Well,
which I appreciate.
This needed to be a slow burn because there's no.
they don't really have much
Nothing
time
else.
to speed.
We don't
through.
have a backstory to who this character is. You know,
Yeah.
all we heard of from in Rogue One. I've been in this fight since I was 6, he said, or as a kid, whatever the
Yeah,
line
since
was.
he was a kid, yeah.
Like we don't really know like much about him or how he got involved, and they got to do that building, and I get it, and that's what I wanted.
But they
And
really
you
can't
can sit
speed
there
through
and
it.
say it might have been slow, but I don't think it's slow at all.
It's not so. It's steady. It's slow, like you was saying. It's slow compared to what you're used to with the Marvel stuff, and where it's like, oh, here's this guy, bam, 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 bunch of explosions, bunch of explosions, bunch of explosions. Oh, here's this guy, bunch of more explosions, bunch of more explosions. Boom, credits roll. Like, it's slow compared to that.
It
But
has
it's a
to be
good
because
kinda
the
slow.
Yeah.
It's a
no,
good
it
slow.
has to be because they're trying to. In my opinion, I'm thinking what the directors are trying to do is get the actors to literally shine.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
you have
Is
to.
that
Plus,
what-
you have a very small window to work with. If they speed through it, he's dead in 5 years. If they speed through too fast, you're going to burn out a fucking story.
Yeah.
The guy's going to be over.
Yeah.
So you have to go slow with this.
exactly
They gave
because
themselves a small window.
definitely because I find the performances of all the characters there really well. Like Mon Mothma, I'm very I'm very invested in what's going to happen to her, and even Skarsgård's character, and even that one blonde bitch that's in the Imperium. I'm kind of curious
She's
to see how
perfect.
her
The
life
ISG
trajectory is
chick,
going to
she's
end up.
perfect.
So
She's
Like,
dead.
like right now you got Mothma, who's still very much basically what you want to call her, a public figure, so to speak, hiding and
Yeah.
playing both sides. Like, are you going to see how it eventually kind of fall? Like, she has to become what she becomes later on. Like, when she's no longer
gonna
there.
become
Like, are they going to show that?
yeah.
I would like to see.
I
that. And Diego Luna is great. Like, I remember him from. If anybody ever watched Narcos,
Y tu mamá también.
Yeah, también.
he was really good in Narcos. He was really good in Narcos. This is the first character that they've made in a very long time that I'm actually starting to give a shit about. You know,
He was my favorite.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yo.
No, he was my favorite after he said to the line to Jin, you know, when they were talking about the rebellion. Some people only got in here just now. I've been doing this since I was, 13 or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't remember the exact line, but
it was something like that
from
since he was
Rogue,
a kid.
I don't have to explain myself. That was awesome, you know. So he's been my favorite since that line.
Here's the one thing that I'm really like about the show. I'm not gonna put words in anybody's mouth or put them on blast, but I know there's some people that did not like Rogue One and are loving this show. Like, so it's not even so much, okay, I wasn't going to put him out there, but it was Gort. Gort and I had a long conversation about this. He was not a fan, still is not a fan of Rogue One, loves this show.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact character. Like, you're like, well, how the fuck does that make sense? How do you like that and hate that and like this? It's different. It's different.
Rogue One, like for me, I enjoyed Rogue One, but in the end, I didn't really care about the characters. You gave me one movie with these characters. There wasn't much building on them, so it's hard to develop an attachment for them the way we have with Han and Luke and all these characters that we've been watching for 40 plus years. You know, you had 3 movies in 7, 8, and 9 to make me give a shit about one of those characters.
Yeah.
And I didn't give a shit. None of them.
Andor is the title character in the thing. And as much as anybody watching may or may not care about the character, going in before you watch the show, after or just during. But all the other characters, like I feel like a lot of them are some level of show stealer. Like the blonde ISB agent, like
perfect.
She's incredible with what she's doing in that show.
Is everybody on this panel up to date?
Agreed.
Like, everybody's up to date on the episodes.
Oh yeah, spoiler.
I am.
I guess real quick for the chat, there might be some spoilers. Obviously, we're talking.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna give.
So
just so you know,
if you don't want to hear any spoilers, if you're not watching Andor, you don't want to kick out. We'll give you a few minutes. But I think who I didn't even know
it's been
he was
almost
in
a
it.
week since the last episode. So I mean,
it's been 2 days.
Yeah,
a week. After the couple days I've had at work, it feels like a fucking week. Trust me, it's been a week.
Right?
2 powerful moments in this show. Definitely when Skarsgård was talking to that one dude. Remember that when he said that I sacrificed everything, right?
Yeah.
And the other the moment was the speech that Gollum gave to the people when they were
I have to one up that powerful moment. Gordon and I talked about this. It's one of the few times I can tell you that I've watched a TV show that it viscerally hit me in the gut. That moment when Cassian said, "Let's go," and he looks back and says, "I can't swim." And you see it just fucking sink into his head. And Gordon and I we were trying to verbalize the talking to each other. It's like your brain immediately goes to, well, fuck it. Cassian can help tote him along, and then you see him go, "I can't swim," and he's devastated by having to say this, and he's starting to back away. And right when your brain clicks to Cassian can help him, boom, Cassian's gone. Like he's pushed off the edge, so he doesn't have the chance. Dude, I'm gonna tell you, it had me close to tears. It got me right to that edge.
Has been, like you said, another show stealer.
Oh,
agreed.
I didn't even know he was going to be in it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So when I saw him in it, I was like, "Oh, cool, Andy Serkis," But he's been great.
I find Andy Serkis to be a show stealer in anything that he shows.
Pretty much.
Like
I'm
I think
not
he
even
was
going to
the best
argue with you
villain
on
in Age
that.
of Ultron.
Yeah.
He was barely in it.
Yeah,
I'm not even Claw.
Agreed.
I liked him as Claw.
Yeah.
I wish we got more.
I'm not going to argue with you. He was the best thing about Lord of the Rings because it wasn't all that stupid walking around bullshit.
I don't know about the best thing.
Hey, Gollum did some walking too.
No,
he did a great job. But yeah, this Andor show has been. I thought it was going to be good. I said I was going to keep up the hope.
Yeah,
I think Gort said he didn't have any hope. He was hoping it was going to be good because Gort has kind of lost all hope with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
he's like
I'm
I was
glad,
hoping I could have hope to like.
I'm glad to see that he's enjoying it.
It's defied and exceeded all expectations.
Yes,
it really has.
1,000% agreed.
And I enjoyed I don't know if anybody watched it yet. Tales of the Jedi was almost.
That was really good too.
That was good too.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You
I was
know?
trying to say these.
Of course,
last
not
two-
saying nothing. He's like, I'm done with the animated stuff. It all sucks now.
It had Filoni's baloney all over it. He
Yo,
hates
it was
Yeah.
a show about it was a show about Ahsoka, and they had to throw Kanan in there as a kid. Why'd they do that? You know, it ruined everything. You know?
The I was trying to when I told on the other pod that I'm on, we were talking about the Andor before we move into Jedi. Is if you pick the worst episode, let's just make it up and say it's episode 1 is the worst episode of that series so far. It was like and I'm just the number on a 10 scale, it's like a 7. Every single episode since then has either been higher than that or exactly the same. Nothing has dropped below that benchmark.
Higher.
It's all higher, or like those 1 or 2 where it's kind of it might come down to it, but it never has dropped below. It's set a high bar and it's just stayed there or gone higher.
Esteban, get in here. And talk some
Listen,
political.
Esteban,
listen.
come on, buddy. You know I'm already about it. Come on, dude. Let's
In
get Gordon
Filoni,
raging.
we trust.
No,
No,
I'm not
Filoni,
saying
we
that.
trust.
I'm not saying that.
I do.
I don't say that.
Leave Filoni alone.
The cannon killer.
I'm sorry.
Funny
Hey,
Filoni.
Say
No.
whatever the hell you want. Up until
He had his
Andor?
dick beaters all over stuff I can't stand now.
the best thing we've gotten from Star Wars in the last 20 years has been from Filoni.
No.
Up until Andor.
I
Yes.
strongly disagree.
Up until Andor. Oh no, Clone Wars was better than Episode 7, 8,
And
9.
you know who supervised Clone Wars was George Lucas and made sure
That's
that show was
okay.
good. Because after Filoni's been gone, it's all a big ball drop. That's my opinion.
know,
He can't do it.
Gord
on
is
his own.
Mr. Look, we can't
Can't
argue
do it
Gort
on
with
his
Star
own.
Wars. like Gort wins.
No, I mean,
He has made
Yes,
some
I
great
think
stuff.
we kinda all agree.
Clone Wars was good, but you know what else he had
Yeah.
his dick beaters on? Bad Batch, which was not good. So
No.
we
yeah,
can't
but
just
you know
say
what? Bad Batch
Filoni
being
we
as
trust,
bad
'cause
as it
Bad Batch
was
trash.
doesn't make Clone Wars bad though. It doesn't hurt.
No, it
what-
doesn't.
It doesn't hurt what
That,
Clone
but
Wars
that,
did.
but that's a strong
And
man
that-
argument though. If
That
you're saying-
final arc of Clone Wars, those last 3 episodes, I think it's some of the best Star Wars we've ever gotten.
But you know that's like old scripting. That's not something they just made.
That's
also
fine,
that's
but it
also
came out.
that's an
Whether
outlier.
Whether they
That's-
wrote it 10 years ago, you know, it's Filoni baloney though.
No, that's the point. That's all the stuff that was written under him and
Pre-Filoni
Lucas.
rubbing his baloney
With
all
him,
over
but,
everything.
That's why
but
it's
it's still Filoni's still there. Yes, he had Lucas's help, but Filoni's there.
That
And
dude
look,
needs his hand.
If the
fucking held.
truth, if the truth,
That's why
if the truth
Mandalorian
about
is a
what-
better show than something like Bad
Yeah.
Batch.
in
Mandalorian
Gort's,
is a better show than
in
Bad
Gort's
Batch.
example, Lucas would be Mandalorian and Filoni would be Grogu. You have to just kind
Yes.
of tote him along in a little cart. and take
Grogu
him
is
where he
horrendous.
needs to go.
Everything about Grogu
Yes.
needs to go.
Except instead of picking between instead of picking between a little mithril vest or Yoda's lightsaber, he's got to pick between which cameo. Do I put Hondo in the show or do I put Hera in the show?
I
You know,
don't
which one's gonna make
understand
cameos?
why people get so upset when there are cameos. It makes
Because
no
it-
fucking sense.
Because it makes no sense that in a vast, multi-planet, multi-billions of people, the same 5 people keep popping up no matter where you're at in
Yeah.
the fucking galaxy.
So it made, you're gonna
Right.
tell me
Brady Bunch.
that you can't make sense of
Makes
the fact
sense.
that Kanan was in Tales of the Jedi
no,
in the Jedi Temple.
no.
Yeah, but
Why?
look,
He's a
Well,
Jedi.
no,
He's
no.
a Padawan.
He should,
No, no.
He would be in the
Kanan-
Jedi
Kanan
Temple.
belongs
But
in the
what's
Jedi
the
Temple.
likeliness that he's the Jedi that they show in the show?
Because he's
how
the
many
one
Yeah,
that
the
people
probability.
know.
Padawans were in the Jedi
He's
Temple
the
at
one
same
that
time.
people know. I never get upset with cameos in the background for 2 seconds, 5 seconds. Seeing Chopper in Rogue One, for me, that was fucking cool. Seeing the ghosts was fucking cool in Rogue One. It doesn't bother me. I'm not bitching. Oh my god, why they put him in there?
What
Yeah,
about
but
what about this
that's
part of
stuff
Rogue
that
One?
could or
Hey,
should be
Gort,
there.
Gort, let's reenact our favorite part of Rogue One. You ready, buddy? So I'm gonna start it off. You follow me through.
I
my
can't
friend-
pretend to be the Death Star zapping everyone.
My friend doesn't like you. I don't
no,
either.
no. But that's the core of like. See, look, that's the kind of cameos and stuff that like I'd be talking about when you have Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan showing up in Rogue One. They bump into them, linger on them with the camera for like
See,
it
that-
feels like an hour.
Say the exact
say the
quote from
same
the old
fucking
movie.
That's bullshit. if it's Kanan
the fan service.
sitting in the bleachers watching Ahsoka, play lightsaber, that's fine. That's not the same. When it's Kanan doing something out of canon at the beginning of Bad Batch that just obliterates a whole comic series, or this new Ahsoka show, like retelling a book and just throw it in the trash.
Well,
that's when you're spitting on the fans and treating us poorly. That's the stuff that like gets me and other people hyped up.
So the Ahsoka thing.
Can we vote
I don't know.
Can we vote somebody off the show while they're not on the show? Can we Craig somebody? Can we fire them on their day off? Derek over here talking about Bad Batch is the best Star Wars things ever. Can we?
Man,
can
I
we
can put him on
fire
timeout.
Oh damn!
I can put him on timeout.
How you get fired on your day off, Craig? I said Bad Batch was the best Star Wars thing ever.
Oh man!
Sorry to interrupt you. I just saw that chat.
No. It's fine. What was I gonna say? Oh, the Ahsoka thing. I read the book. I don't know if this show is supposed to be taking place before the book because there is some still time frame.
It's in
where
place.
She was jumping from planet to planet. You're telling me it's in place of the book. How do we know that? Is this just is this no, and I don't mean to be that guy, but is this an assumption? Is this an official statement that was said?
It's not a football game where, you change the channel and one thing looks like the next. They took events, they retold them the way Filoni wants to tell them because he doesn't care what somebody wrote in a book.
She still doesn't have
story.
Who pulled up?
He is the Lord and Master of Ahsoka
Tano,
not anybody else.
I did. Esteban's comment. Yeah, because you let it sit there a long time, like somebody. Oh,
I just forgot
that we watched because he agreed with you. That other video
we just watched.
Look, you want? I could put you in the cornfield along with your boy Derek if you want.
I got Taco Bells. It's cool.
You and Derek can both sit in the cornfield. No, I'm sorry. I'm of a different opinion. None of that shit has ever fucking bothered me. It never has. I've always enjoyed when they make those little connections.
I'm okay with like Gort was kind of saying, like if you have like Kanan like in there, like there's Kanan, like you can tell he just something about him, you can tell it's Kanan as a child. But if they have to take time to pan over to him and a character whose story you're actually following goes, who's that kid? And somebody's like, that's Kanan. I think he's gonna grow to be a strong Jedi one day. That's too fucking much.
But they didn't do that.
I don't know. I'm just using that as an example.
So yeah, but
they do stuff like that. That's what we were just talking about. The Ponda Baba one. They do 1000% do shit like that in Star Wars, and it drives me batshit fucking crazy.
But you see, it doesn't drive like even when it's stupid. I don't know. Maybe like I said, maybe I'm not a full Star Wars fan because I don't get mad at that stuff. Only real Star Wars fans hate Star Wars at this point.
Okay, that's
the biggest Star Wars fan you. The biggest Star Wars fan you are, the more you hate Star Wars. It seems.
Have Gort read his last comment out loud. Derek, you're in big trouble, dude. Wait
I'm
till
not
I
reading that.
you.
I'll go to hell.
Oh, what the fuck?
Man, don't pay him no mind. Don't pay him no mind.
Derek's drunk typing shit in the chat squad, man. He out drunk.
Yeah.
Jar Jar's better than Grogu, though.
He got hacked.
Jar Jar's better than Grogu, though.
Maybe.
I won't go that. I won't even go that far.
I can't stand. I hope he blows up in the next fucking season.
Look, did you notice in Tales of the Jedi? When Yaddle had her story, like I don't want to get too heavy in the spoilers on that. I mean,
dude, that thing came out 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so Yaddle's death episode, like when she died, I laughed. I'm like, I bet you laughed and said, "Grogu, you're next, motherfucker." I know how much you hate that guy.
I'm just tired of Hasbro shoving him down your face. Is why every fucking I'm starting to dislike the Mandalorian just because like the only thing you're giving me for figures is Mando, something Mando. Here's Mando here, here's Mando there, here's Mando in the 3-pack because you already got all 3 of these fucking figures, but we're gonna give you another 3-pack with all 3 of them in it again. Here's Mando with a scar. Here's Mando without a scar. Here's Mando with 1 scratch. Here's him no scratch. I can't. I'm over it. I'm done. So, Grogu looked the fucking same in 2 episodes in 2 seasons, and you made 20 fucking figures of the dude.
They've only made
They
3
have to.
Grogu's. You're
The
way over
Mandalorian, the Mandalorian figure that's covered in the snow, does that qualify as an Arctic armor Mandalorian?
It's a
They
G.I.
have
Joe
to eat.
crossover
The problem is they've taken too many financial L's on all the other products that they have to find a way to balance that.
There's,
Yep.
Esteban,
There's
dude, come on here. You
so
don't have to be
many
on camera, man. Come on here and talk with us,
That's
Esteban.
milking the mold like a motherfucker.
Esteban, come on and just turn the camera off if you want.
He might be driving home from work listening.
Not if he's typing that book he just typed in the chat squad.
He's maybe dictation. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he says.
I mean, like, look, there's so many fucking figures that they could be making, characters that we have not gotten, but you're still shoving fucking Mandalorian down everybody's fucking throat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but why the hate for Grogu when there's only been 3 of him? But there's
Because I just
75
feel-
fucking Mandalorian figures in the last 2 years.
I don't know. Maybe I'm hating.
Let me on record say Boba Fett is super overrated and fuck
I agree
Boba
with you.
Fett and
I
fuck
agree with
everything
you.
that spun off of that shit.
I won't say fuck
cool-
everything, but
It was only cool in the EU, and that shit doesn't exist anymore.
I have one Boba Fett figure, and I'm fine with it. I don't need Book of Boba Fett, Dad Bod Boba Fett, Tusken Warrior Boba Fett, hanging out in the desert Boba Fett. I don't need all that.
Like a Bantha Boba
He
Fett.
said
You didn't want
Dad
that?
bod. He said
You know,
Dad bod Boba
I
Fett.
don't need
You
all
wasn't
that.
even choking on
When
my chalupa, you motherfucker.
I'd rather have a Mother Talzin, some Night Sister. Like, there's other things
Yeah.
I would rather see than this.
Galen
fucking
Merrick.
Didn't
Just
they do
saying, Galen Merrick?
shit. Didn't they make him already?
They have not.
I thought they did. See, I'm not even keeping up with it anymore.
We go. We got
Protect
Esteban.
Esteban
What's
at
up,
all
Esteban?
costs. What's going on?
Hey, everybody.
He's what are you in? What are you in the parking lot right now? Target.
At a Spartan final, picking up eggs and stuff for tomorrow.
Gotcha.
So with the Star Wars stuff, I just wanted to chime in real quick about, like, I absolutely love Star Wars. Like, I talk about it to death with people, anybody. But you have to call out when some creatives feel that their telling of a story is superior to others. With the Ahsoka stuff, with the Kanan stuff, all of that was scrap stories for season 7. But because the story group was so passionate that stuff needed to be told, it was handed out to different creatives. Dave Filoni signed off on all of those things, and they were distributed. But now, 5-6 years later, Dave Filoni says, no, my original drafts are better than what was given to the audience. So everyone's enjoyment of this fiction doesn't matter as much as my original vision for it. So with the Ahsoka book, you lose characters. And it's important for some people, like the characters that we lost in the Ahsoka book aren't that important to me because they don't represent me. But that Ahsoka book was some of the first, like, people of color and LGBT, like, representation. With the Kanan stuff, it's more of wanting to expand on Rebels and explore that character. And everything that happened in the Kanan comic book was lost. The interactions with the clones, which is the backbone of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, of Jedi and Padawans interacting with their clone commanders, all of that's gone because of what happened in the Bad Batch. And it's because one creator feels that their vision is better than others, and you have to call that stuff out. You know, you can do it without being shitty, but you still have to call it out.
Yeah.
And that's why I love you, Esteban. He just said it very succinctly, very nicely. I'd have been like, fuck this guy, fuck that guy. Esteban just said it all kinds of nicely.
Because
Good job.
Esteban's
Thank you,
a class
buddy.
act.
He is a class act. That's why we love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I wanted to jump in and just, like, give me a little 2 cents on, because, like, I've spoken to Gort to death about it, and, you know, right now it's at the point where people are just kind of memeing about it now, but it's still important to talk about. Like, and, like, I love that you guys brought it up. and are having this discourse about, is it important? Is it not important? Do Star Wars fans just hate Star Wars? You know, and we have we have the example of Andor. Andor is so fantastic. Actors being allowed to act because you have a showrunner that's not going to take, you know, they're going to take liberties with it, but still walk that line of understanding who the show audience is, how far they can push their narrative, and just run with it. It's so well done. Like these three episode arcs, they're so beautifully done, and they're succinct, and they grow Cassian as a character to the place that we're gonna get to. Like, it's a bummer that season 2 is all we're gonna get, but it's kind of cool that, you know, we get it at all.
I mean, maybe they can slow it down, add more stories before they get to Rogue One. You know,
but then that
like,
becomes the problem.
so
dragging it out.
You don't. I wouldn't go more than 3 seasons.
You get
at
Naruto
total at all.
I think that Andor is a situation, especially with this first season being as good as it is. The plan, and Esteban or whoever, correct me, but the plan is that they're keeping in the second season the 3 episode story arcs, but each 3-part arc is a year.
Time
so
jump,
if this
right?
is the first year, then that's like the 4, 3, 2, counting down to Rogue One. But less is more. Sometimes less is more. I don't want this one beaten to death. Let this be an actual win for us. Let's just keep it that way.
I agree. That's why I said no. Like, I think 3 would have to be your tops if you were to try to like, you don't go past 3 on something like this. You only got a 5-year time frame to tell stories. You don't know. I don't need this to be 24 where 24 episodes equals one whole day.
Yeah.
No. I agree.
Season 2 starts filming, I think, on the 22nd of this month. Wow. And as long as people keep talking about Andor, keep being positive about it, we're going to get 12 episodes, and they're not going to shorten it. They're not going to cut it to like 8 or 6 or something dumb like that. You know, hopefully we get an additional 12 solid episodes. And, you know, we have 2 episodes left of this first season. I doubt that it poops the bed with the last 2 episodes.
Work hard. It would have to work really hard.
They would have to make some big fucking.
It would have to be blatant. Like, they would purposely be trying to fuck it up at this point.
We would need Darth Vader giving Obi-Wan a piggyback ride to fuck this up.
Yeah. Or they put Ahsoka in it for 10 seconds and everybody's gonna lose their minds.
Ahsoka and Jar Jar team up. Yeah.
You shut the fuck up, Gort.
Well, you could, like, if they show Bail Organa, because, you know, we know Bail Organa and Ahsoka are working together to help out in the mid-rim. They could show Ahsoka. I hope not.
No.
I wouldn't mind Bail. I wouldn't mind Bail either. Like, I want to see actors act. Mm-hmm. I want to see actors act, and Bail Organa, Jimmy Smits. He's a good actor for television. Mm-hmm.
And Bail Organa is a character that makes sense. And as far as Ahsoka goes, I don't need to see her. But if they have a fulcrum radio voice or something, like,
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Like, the Bail Organa,
and I'm a big Ahsoka fan.
Overarching character. He's just dripped into every little bit. He's not like a big main person that they have to shove in your face like they would with Ahsoka.
I miss
Bail Organa.
Yeah,
I'm saying I like him because he's an overarching character that they just drip feed. He's not in your face everything, but he's from episode 1 on. He's pretty much in Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, all the way up until Alderaan. So yeah, I think that's
at this point.
Character to use.
A couple of episodes ago, this series can do no wrong for me anymore. Simply because 2 tubes made an appearance. After that was it.
Correction. 1 tube
can do whatever,
made an appearance. The other one has not showed up yet.
Good point.
Yeah, I think it's at a point now with 2 episodes left. It would be almost impossible to ruin your first season. You got big shoes to fill for your season 2, though.
Yeah.
No, and that's always an issue because season 1 can be so good. Season 2 might be good, but if people are going to compare it to season 1, well, season 1 was better.
Dude, what if they have the birth of Grogu in this one?
I mean, we know we do. I mean, we know the
That'd
end.
be awesome. Give it.
We know the end for Cassian. You know, we know how it's going to end. Like,
What happens?
He goes to the beach.
bunch of
Him and
Bothans,
Ray-
a bunch of
hold
Bothans
on,
die.
wait. You don't know him and Jin.
No, Ray.
Escape.
Go with Ray. Him and Ray.
Him and Jim escape, and they have a child, and they leave that child on a planet, and they name her Ray. You didn't know that he's Ray's father?
That would be awesome.
And they're very
Now
good
that's a
at-
very Star Wars thing to do.
Yeah, and they're
That's
very
a
good
very
at
good-
they're very good at Pictionary. So in the movie, they actually reenact their favorite part of a movie called Deep Impact, where Taya Leone and her dad sat on the beach and watched the
Morgan
impact.
Freeman.
So they were just reenacting their favorite scene, and then they went off and they lived happily ever after, and they had lots of babies.
Makes sense. That's the ending I want.
That's some Filoni bullshit. He would write some shit like that. Tell him Esteban.
Yeah, like I was joking around with Gort about, you know, Filoni does really well with interpersonal relationships and stuff, but he can't really do what Andor has done because that would make him have to write more than 4 sentences of dialogue before cutting to another character.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it is really watching a really out of the box kind of show. It's definitely not Star Wars, but I'm glad that it's done in a way that it opens up Star Wars to that kind of style from here on out.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it.
I think that's one thing Gordon
Andor
and I talked
represents great possibilities for me. We're not
If you remove
stuck to having
Star
things
Wars
done like
from it,
the
it was-
Mando.
if you remove Star Wars from it, like take Star Wars out of the title, this is still a perfect show. Like
Yeah.
literally the
Good
only
show,
thing
yeah.
really
It is.
tying it to Star Wars is the fact that they've mentioned the Empire. Like if you get rid
Yeah.
of that, just erase those little words dropped and just make this some outer space show, like in the future in outer space, this show is still fucking perfect.
Yeah.
It just also happens to be Star Wars, which is good for all of us that are Star Wars fans because we needed it. We needed it. After the movie that
I
shall
just-
not be named, I needed this show.
I love that it's an adulting show. Like for me, what I loved about especially the very first episode was the interaction between the guy who goes, I've came to claim the rights of Prima Nocta, that actor, when he was talking to you know,
Did you do a Braveheart all
the
over
dude
the
that
place?
decided he
Yes, he did.
yeah, he decided he was telling the guy, he goes, yep, just it was just an accident and let's move on from it. There's no need to further investigate.
Yeah.
Because that's, when I was in the Army, there was a lot of that going on. Like, you know what? We get that these guys died from dubious situations, but yeah,
much
we need to yeah, exactly. We need to cut this off and just move on. And that's what I appreciate because
Yeah.
in a way, had that dude just like followed orders,
Obey.
obeyed,
This whole show would
none of
end
this
really
mess would have
fast.
happened. Yeah. So
And he's interesting because his interactions with Deidre, like he's like grabbing her by the arm and like kind of just like assaulting her with like his passion for like wanting to uphold what he thinks is the law. But I think
Yeah.
it's just going to be another case of history's going to repeat itself. He got told fuck off in that first episode, didn't.
right.
She's telling him fuck off, and he's not going to, and he's going to cause some big, hubbub again. But
Yeah,
that's my expectation. This show's actually defied expectations to the point where, for the most part, it's pretty unpredictable. Like I don't always know where things are going to go. A lot of the time I'm watching stuff, I could say the line of dialogue or tell you what's going to happen next, and that's not really been the case with this one. It's relatively unpredictable. But
Like I was
But I
caught off
feel like
guard by
this
the
might be the
blonde
only
chick
one I
being
might get
Mothma's
right.
sister. Man.
Mhm.
The blonde chick
We'll
being
see.
Mothma's sister or cousin, that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't see
that
that coming.
that 100% caught me out of nowhere, and you get nothing that leads towards that. Like she gets called out as being a rich girl running from her family by the other character, but
That literally means
other than
anything.
that, no indication. It's a
Yep.
surprise.
What caught me off guard is how dope Mon Mothma's car is. Her whip is dope.
Yeah.
That one, a blue, whatever the hell that is, rolls.
Fucking like space caddy.
That's her spirit
Ah,
of vengeance.
It's a good look.
Man, it's perfect. I know it's hard to say perfect, but it's about as close to perfect as you can get.
Yeah.
Like
And
so
few characters have plot armor other than like Andor and Mon Mothma.
Melshi,
like if
maybe.
Yeah, Melshi, like if you know the deep cuts, you know that the other Mexican in the prison is the one that's in Rogue One.
Mhm.
But the whole time you're just, like there's themes that you follow along. Like during the Aldani heist, there's 7 members and only 2 survive, which is Vale and Andor, and his table has 7 members. So you're just like, who's going to die and who's going to survive? Melshi has to survive, but is everyone else going to die on that table? And then
Right.
there's, like in the chat, I had mentioned that the only criticisms that I've seen of Andor are people that don't like the politics of it. And it's only there if you really, really know, because the politics in Andor is such deep cut political stuff in the background of our
Agreed.
lives.
House of Cards.
Free labor in prisons and the automation of human beings in Amazon and the destruction of native lands for industrial complexes. It's deep cut political stuff that we live with and ignore, just like the people in the Empire ignore. When Melshi and them were yelling that no one out there knows what's happening in here and no one in here knows what's happening out there, it just reminded me of like some of the quotes from the 9 saga films. In episode 1, which is one of the best Star Wars movies.
I only know 8 of them. What are you talking about 9?
Well, there's one moment in 9 that there are 2 moments in 9 that I'll bring back around. There are themes in Andor. In episode 1, Anakin tells his mom, the thing you tell me all the time, the reason that people are like the way we are is because we don't help each other enough. In episode 9, Lando says there's more of us, but before he says that, Zori says that the Empire and the First Order win because they make us feel alone. They make us feel separate. And that's that whole prison arc. Melshi and Andor, they're in the same bunk, but they're separated by a wall. How can you be so close to another prisoner and be so far away from them? The doctor doesn't want to know what the patient's name is. You're holding a man's life and you don't want to know who he is. It's because the Empire wants you to feel like I got to watch out for me. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so good. It's such good writing. Yeah. And the monologues, the dialogue, Luthen's whole speech about working towards a sunrise that he'll never see, you instantly think of Luke looking out at the binary sunset.
Mm-hmm. Gordon and I were talking about that him talking to that spy that he had in the ISB. Like, yep. You really did not know up until the last second which way that car was going to turn. That guy could have killed him. He could have killed him. Everything worked out hunky-dory. They got raided by some outside person. Like, it had you on the edge the whole time with no indication of what you were about to see at the end of this thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The elevator scene with Luthen and is it Lumi?
Lonnie.
It's like
there's about that part.
There's this entire background chess game being played while they're having that conversation, because it's like, okay, that's it. Luthen's going to shoot him. But wait, if he shoots an ISB officer, that's going to put heat on him, letting them know that it's here. But if he lets him live, but not let him know that I'm still in control, he's going to rat him out. So it's just like this delicate dance to show who's in charge. It's a big game of chess. Sacrificing 50 rebels out in space to protect my Rook here at the Empire headquarters. It's just like, oh my god, this is so good. I love it so much.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Yul and Esma, let me ask you a question. Did you guys like Rogue One?
I did.
I like Rogue One from when Jyn decides that she's not going to listen to the Rebel Alliance and go off on her mission forward. I don't like Rogue One before that because I don't attach myself to Jyn fast enough like you do with all the other characters. So half of that movie I love. The first half, it's hard for me to get attached.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing, like you're saying there. Cassian ends up being the character who does get the show, and I think that he ended up being the more interesting one throughout the movie. He has more of a personal arc and then the relationship with the droid, whereas Jin kind of does start with nothing and decides to only care after she sees her dad. Like she's snapped into it, and I don't know. I find it hard to like give a shit about her character much at all.
right.
Even really the rest of them, they all have like a bit of a story, but like you got like Baze and Chirrut. Like Chirrut has more speaking lines. Baze doesn't say much, but he's just kind of there. He's there.
Like with Jin, I like her. I like what her character represents and who she is. It's like at the first half of the movie, she's just like the typical I don't care character, and then she turns for the cause.
Yeah.
But with me reading like the novels and stuff, you know, Jin means so much to a lot of people. In the Alphabet Squadron books, there's a character that idolizes her because she says that without Jin, Luke would have never been able to blow up Death Star. It's like this chain of events. And then we see that here in Andor of what leads into the next thing, to the next thing, to the next
The
thing.
butterfly effect of all these little
Exactly.
little moments. Yeah.
And in like Rebel Rising, when you get to see those years that are skipped over in the movie, Jin becomes a much more likable character. And I still want to read the Rogue One novelization because I've been told that she's fleshed out a lot more in that. And I love the novelizations for the movies because it's all stuff that was in the script but left out.
Jin's
I
a
don't know,
character that gets referenced a lot too. When people reference the events of Rogue One, it's always what Jin did, and no one else seems to get a name drop. That's something that bugs me. I don't like that. Like
As a
there's a lot of
casual-
people that were there. Admiral
That's
Radcliffe
because everybody else
real
is secret.
quick,
fucking
Wes
cool.
has to bounce. So
Yeah, I'm
good
outta
night,
here.
brother. Catch you later, man.
Feel better, man.
Peace.
So I asked about Rogue One because I had asked Gort and a couple people this question. Does the existence of Rogue One help you in your enjoyment of Andor or hinder your enjoyment of Andor?
I don't know. As a casual fan, because I've never read any of the books or the save for the ones that the Thrawn ones, the from
Thrawn
back in the
trilogy.
90s.
Yeah.
Thrawn. I couldn't tell you what happened from before or whatever. So all I know is that since Diego Luna gets killed in Rogue One, it's hard for me to get enthusiastic to watch Andor because I know how it's gonna end. Kind of just like it was hard for me to watch the prequel stuff, knowing how Obi-Wan would just kind of take the L the way he took the L in A New Hope. Like
That
really?
is
You
the
just-
ultimate W. That was not an L, sir.
for me it was an L because like if he was able to whoop Darth Maul as a gosh damn Padawan and then whoop General Grievous and a bunch of other, he was such a badass. I don't know how he and to make matters worse, the show they made him whoop on on Darth Vader after having not touched the Force for however very long. All of a sudden he's just like this wizard again. Just like, what? And in the New Hope he decides to just okay, I think I'm gonna take the kid to death on this time around. It's confusing for me. That's why I think
To
they
me,
should
it
have
was
just started.
more he had tried all
Well,
the other stuff.
remember,
he had tried
you know-
all the battling directly, the battling without the Force, the battling with the Force. Like he tried every different way with Vader, so pretty much he didn't have many options left at that point.
You got to
me,
keep in
personally, that's
mind
how I
that
take it.
everything we watch, everything we found over Star Wars is based off of 4 movies that were written and produced 40 years ago. So they have to. So they're trying to build around 4, 5, and 6. It's already done. Like you talk about what they did with Obi-Wan in the prequels. Well, either way, nothing they did in the prequels is going to change because 4 had been out already. It's done. They started in the middle. That's sometimes that I think that's what hurt a lot of what we've gotten since, because Star Wars was originally started in the middle. So
I'm gonna
Honestly,
scream
you're
out.
pigeonholed into certain things
I'm
that
gonna
you can and cannot do.
I'm gonna scream out something that a masked man that we all know and listen to says constantly because I agree with. They need to get the fuck away from this original trilogy, this little
I
loophole, this
agree
donut that they
too.
refuse to get. Andor is literally the outlier of things that have been made wrapped around the original trilogy still being great. Everything else,
Skywalker era
part of that
needs to
sentiment
go.
of getting away, though, is getting away from Skywalkers, but this is getting away from like everything. And I'm going to put what Brian said up on the screen. You know, the appreciation that you get towards the rebellion and such, but those movies, they're very centric to the characters. You don't understand what the galactic conflict is. You don't know why the rebellion is rebelling against the Empire. You're told in scrolling space text that they're bad and the good guys are good. That's all you get told. You know basically nothing. This is a kind of show that's filling in the gap in the best way, because even when you watch a show like Rebels, it's the adventures of, you know, Ezra and Zeb, you know, getting, you know, melons, Maryland's, whatever it is. It's not exciting the same way, because you don't see what like the structure of the galaxy is, so you still don't get to appreciate what the stakes are or aren't. And here, seeing the inner workings of the prison and like, you know, how dehumanized these people have become in prison and out of prison, because you're just as much a slave, that means so much more. This show adds so much more depth to Star Wars that we have gotten nowhere else inside the franchise. You look at the lame duck that you got with the sequels. They could have been great, and they just decided we're not going to care. Star Wars, it's an easy paycheck, just like putting out action figures endlessly of clone troopers and no Jedi in the Black Series, because they know you're going to buy it. They know you're going to put money. They don't have to try. They got you. But this time somebody gave a shit, so now we have something nice.
Yeah.
I would
Someone
like to
has
see,
something to say.
like, I would love to see the behind the scenes stuff of how this conversation went over a boardroom table compared to all the other stuff that we have gotten.
Yeah,
I
the
would
gallery
love to
for
hear
this show is going to be really interesting.
Yes.
Well, going back to EE's point about my enjoyment of Rogue One, how it affects Andor, because I attach myself to characters, you know, I'm really enjoying Andor. Like when I first, what I thought the show was going to be, what I thought it was just going to be adventure and a little bit of politics. I did not expect what I ended up giving, and seeing how Cassian starts off just doing whatever the hell he wants and laying low to the person that he becomes in Endor. I mean, in Rogue One, it's great. You know, in Episode 6, Nemec tells him to climb. In Episode 10 that we just got, Kino tells him to climb, and then again K2SO tells him to climb, and it's just this theme of rising out of this pit that the Empire has sunk the galaxy into. It's amazing, and I can't wait to see what happens when Cassian reads Nemec's manifesto and applies that to the injustices that he's experienced in just this 60-day span of, like, I can't wait to see what his mom does on their planet, because she's over here not taking her medicine because it's like a food suppressant. She's looking for underground caves under the hotel where all the Empire people are. She has this vendetta against the Empire because of everything they've done to her family. When she told Cassian that the Empire doesn't exist in my mind and that's all I'll ever need to move forward, I was just like, this woman is badass. I don't care that she was Aunt Petunia and she locked Harry Potter under a closet.
That's
like
where
this,
she was
like,
from.
This old lady is so badass, and I can't wait to see what she does when she home alones the planet.
Dude, if I see one paint can on a string,
you already have the paint can. It's B2 Emo. He's the paint can.
the emu, the emo droid.
I'm waiting. I want to know how Andor goes from them wanting to kill him to what he becomes.
I think he already becomes what he became after this prison stint. Really,
yeah. But right now they're still looking to kill him. What's changing? Like, what changes the rebellion's mind about keeping Andor around?
Well,
that's what I'm curious about. Like, I
he's going to have to end up swooping in and saving Skarsgård or something.
Maybe he's just ready to be signed up rather than getting asked to join.
Maybe, like, I want to know what's. I'm waiting for that switch where he, because you got I forget her name. She's basically stalking his mother on his planet, waiting to see if he pops up. They don't know that Andor is in prison,
Yeah.
so they're looking for him because they want to keep him quiet. I'm waiting to see how that plays out. I'm hoping we do get more. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it left you on that little, like you guys said, that real emotional moment with Andy Serkis.
Oh,
But I'm wondering if they're gonna give if they're gonna give any closure to what happens, or they're just gonna leave it at that.
No.
if they're smart,
the
they'd leave it
second that
alone.
they go back to that, or at least in this series, that's the stuff that ruins the moment. That you get to linger on that and really get kept wondering. That's why it's going to
Like
be.
we're here talking about it, and it hit me in my gut again. I started getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like if they start going,
Yeah.
well, then after that, he went back and he brushed his teeth and he took a shit, and then like I don't care about all that. You just totally depowered that whole entire moment by doing all that shit. Like I don't want to know. Maybe it's maybe like an in passing thing. Maybe he hears through the grapevine that somehow he made it out, and you just see that. Like that would be perfect to me to continue. Like you see Cassian get that information that he survived. You just get that little glimmer of a smile on his face, and then on with what he was doing beforehand. That's all that's needed to continue that story. Anything more than that is they're going to take away that moment.
Yep,
Yeah.
very true, Brink.
Very true, Brink. Like it's dude, we can go on about Andor, man. Obviously we can go on about it. Look, we're over an hour into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Andor.
didn't know how to. Yeah, don't even remember how this all started.
I don't know either. We came on here and talked about Batman, and now we're talking about Andor.
I think I brought it up at the start. I could be wrong, but it spirals. It's
great, but this is the good stuff.
That's what the hangouts are for, man.
Yeah.
That's what they're good.
Look, we just spent an hour, and all of us are happy and excited and talking about Star Wars, not an hour of all of us going, fuck Star Wars. It's the worst. It's nice to have this conversation.
Look what happened. We didn't want to talk about
like
Star Wars anymore, and Esteban's gone.
He just immediately dipped out. He's like, no Star Wars, I'm out. But it's nice like to have this moment like where all of us are actually talking about Star Wars and it's not a total shit
and agreeing
that
we all like it. Like,
yeah,
like there's not a we all.
It's been a long time in Star Wars.
This show, these I also like I said, I did enjoy Tales of the Jedi a lot. It was nice to get those two shows, and I mean we're saying this, it's been a long time, but man, I enjoy Mando. Don't get me wrong; it's a good show.
It's okay.
It's not a great show, but it's a good show. He's a good character. He's a good actor. I'm just tired of the Hasbro throwing Grogu down everybody's face.
You love
Grogu. It's not a bad show, man. It's really not a bad show, and neither was the Obi-Wan show. But it wasn't a bad show either.
It had its moments. It could have been more. I think that's the problem.
It could have been more better, but it wasn't bad. Book of Boba Fett was bad. Bad Batch was problem bad.
We all have it falls back to that conversation. I think you and I have actually had this conversation. The preconceived notion, what we're expecting. We know Obi-Wan, we know Vader, so we know what we want from this story. And if they don't do exactly that, we hate it. The only expectation you go into this with is he's going to die in Rogue One. That's literally the only expectation we go into this show. There's nothing else.
Character development for Andor really up until here.
Yeah.
So there's no preconceived notion. People had a preconceived notion of Boba Fett for 40 fucking years.
Let's not with that one. But the thing with Andor, because he's going to die, you have the constraint of that. You have an end point, but you have pretty much nothing else. Like the material is nearly non-existent, and that's to its benefit. Now a creative can go in and tell any story. With the Obi-Wan story that's in between 3 and 4, you have plenty of constraints, like almost too many.
Yeah.
And that's why it becomes that, relatively restrictive story that we did get. And I think a lot of people thought it kind of jumped the shark in some aspects. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
It had its moments
out
where,
definitely better than some things, but
yeah.
This one is going to end up being great, where that one never had a chance because it can be anything.
I hate how Jekyll and Hyde all the shows are. Like as far as like this is what happened when there's not a single vision We can't. We don't know what story is really being told.
A single proper vision, because
Exactly.
you can get single visions and be a whack job running that ship, and it'll be crazy.
Well,
so
you know what? If there was a single vision for 7, 8, and 9, it would have turned out better.
What
I
is
didn't say
9?
good.
You talking
Yeah,
about 9? Are you talking
fair
about
enough.
episode of Andor, episode 9 of Andor? Which one was that?
You know
Because-
what he's saying, Ricky. But
It
think
exists in
about
a
that.
pocket
Like, it's-
universe with
right.
bat nipples in my world.
Yeah, but it's there. It's there. A single vision would have made it a better trilogy.
True,
Didn't say
absolutely.
it would have been a good one, but it still would have been better.
Hell,
they
it should have
took
been.
that-
It should be even better among the show. Like the book of Boba Fett sucks because you can look at it and you can't tell what kind of show it's trying to be. It sounds look like a bunch of different people were trying to come up with
Well,
something.
that's the thing.
and
Well,
it-
Mando does the same thing. They're putting different directors for a bunch of different episodes, and you get.
But they have a
feel.
but they have a set feel. It's an outer space cowboy show. It doesn't matter who's
Yeah.
directing it. That's the feel of the show.
But I mean,
Boba
look-
Fett doesn't. It's a gangster movie. It's a
that didn't want to be a
Wubba
gangster
Dub
movie
Dub
when
show.
at the end
It's
of it
a
all.
This, it's a that.
but it's not. But
everything.
see, that's the thing. We thought it was going to be a gangster movie.
That's what they
Yeah.
sold it as. I
Exactly.
don't think
And
that
did
I
they
didn't go to
really?
sleep one night. Yes.
Did they really,
Yes,
or
that
did we
whole-
assume?
that-
Or
Dude, that
did
whole
we
entire
assume
clip
it
of him
was
going
Boba Fett?
talking with Michelle, what's her face, talking about
Yo,
now we're running this shit. And he
was
sat
this
down
it?
in Jabba's throne. You don't remember that
Yeah.
teaser at Mandalorian?
Yeah.
They won
He's
1,000 fucking
sitting around like the fucking boss.
other, and you didn't. What
yeah.
you got was the fucking mafia movie with fucking Lloyd Bridges where they made fun of it. The spoof goddamn movie where the
Jay
meat
Moore.
pops out. Yes,
the guy.
Yes,
the guy who
Gort
was
knows
telling
what
the
I'm talking
Andor
about.
story should have been the one directing. Helming that project, because then we would have had a better gangster story than
You said
just
how
whatever the
Scorsese
hell
do
they're
Star
trying to figure
Wars.
it out.
Boba Fett had the room not to be pigeonholed into anything really, and they
Boba
still
Fett should not exist.
dropped the
Fuck
ball
Boba
on
Fett.
it. I know Star Wars has been trying to fill in these gaps and puzzle pieces to everything that happened around 4, 5, and 6. Some things don't need to be told.
No.
The Bad Batch was a story that didn't need to be told.
Bad Batch would have been
Especially
fine.
the way you did it.
Bad Batch would have been fine if they hadn't done the exact thing me and Gort were talking about. Oh, look, do you remember this guy? This week's adventure.
Mooch.
Oh, you remember this guy? That's this week's
it
adventure. If
became-
they had
it
not
became-
done that, Bad Batch could have been a good show.
Well, no, I think the problem with Bad Batch, it became an adventure of the week type story. And
But
that's what I
every
didn't
adventure
like
of the
about
week
it.
Not
was,
at all to its benefit.
But every
It
adventure
did not
of the week
help
was
it.
a member berry shot. It's like we're having an adventure this week, and look, it's this guy from episode 5. You remember him? And next week we're gonna do the fucking Rancor when it was a goddamn baby. It's
I'm gonna say something even more controversial. The reason why the Bad Batch shouldn't exist in general is because, first of all, if Boba Fett is already the clone of Jango Fett, Omega, I feel, is just gonna end up becoming the Mary Sue fucking whatever the heck Fett version that's gonna be. And I'm just like, no, we already have enough of that going on. That's what's gonna happen.
She's Ray's mother.
You guys need to fucking relax. You guys need to fucking
I've been
relax.
saying this since it started.
Cornfield this dude.
Hunter, and
Cornfield myself, so I don't have to hear it.
Omega
You can still
are,
hear it over
are
there.
Ray's parents.
No,
Hunter and Omega
sadly-
are Ray's parents.
You can still hear it, Gort. That doesn't help, man.
Don't add me back.
Because that is a very, very Star Warsy thing for them to do. Hunter and Omega.
The
are
good news
Ray's
is
parents.
the good news is Omega is too ethnic to be Ray's kids, or Ray to be the kid.
They abandoned her. They abandoned her. So you don't need the accent.
Who's
I'm
Omega?
glad she's
What are y'all
as
talking
dark
about?
as me. So
Omega. Sorry,
because
Omega.
they're gonna be have to do hella gymnastics trying to explain why how pasty Ray came out of Omega.
Oh, so you mean Omega von Wolfenstein?
Omega.
That's what you mean? Okay. Because that's her full name. You gotta say Omega von Wolfenstein.
Omega Supreme.
Von Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just another clone, very Spider-Man-ish. Just saying.
Just telling you.
Ben
now.
Riley in this bitch, yo.
Omega Riley.
You heard it here first. She's Ray's mama. She's Ray's mama.
Dude, I want to be on a live chat with Wolfie and Gort at the same time when that fucking happens on that show. Like both of their heads would explode into flame.
just like the clan member in freaking Dave Chappelle's
Yeah, they all explode their heads.
You want to see my face?
I mean, if you want to, oh no, never mind. My joke was ruined.
Aw. Can't be as bad as that show though.
Because it defaults with the avatars. I was gonna say, you want to see my head explode into flames? I turned my camera off.
Yeah.
It was fucking Grimlock.
It'd be like that, but for real.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it as much as y'all do.
Derek, why don't you like Star Wars?
Yeah, Derek, why are you such a
Why
hater?
do you like
Look,
Jar
you're
Jar?
typing a lot in the chat squad for somebody who's too busy to be on the damn show.
Should I just put him in timeout?
To the cornfields. That's the winningest comment.
No, Derek's not winning shit tonight.
bros.
Did you see the whole entire conversation he was having earlier? No, Derek's not winning shit tonight. Sean, make him sleep on the couch.
So we've been all over Star Wars. What else we got?
Well,
We've got something.
I know
that was
some.
a
I mean,
quick
we'll
game.
just jump right into it. I know that's a hangout. There's no such thing as segues. I know some of you guys did want to talk about Kevin Conroy today. So
Yeah, that was sad.
a lot of you guys were bigger Batman the Animated Series fans, and just him in general with everything he did with Batman. So I figured we could, I figured people are gonna want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, to me, not even joking. Batman the Animated Series in general is the quintessential Batman for me. Period. Among all formats that I've watched, from all the different kind of movies, even the comic books, the animated series, bar none, is the one that whenever I think of Batman is who he is, So, and the voice is his voice. I couldn't imagine hearing anybody else be a good Bruce Wayne / Batman other than him.
Like when I think of Batman, like, I mean, look, I was talking about this earlier, and yes, this is a hot take, and forgive me. I didn't love the Batman the anime series the way a lot of people did, but he is Batman to me. Like when I think of Batman, that's the voice I hear. When I read a comic book, that's the voice that's running through my head. And he did it through Justice League Unlimited, a lot of the animated movies. So
Games and stuff.
I might have to go next door and burn my neighbor's house down.
Yeah, no, I don't
Turn
know.
my camera off.
What your neighbor's doing?
He's in the chat squad. It's the one with no name. That's my neighbor. That
I
bullshit
see.
you just said there. I'm gonna have to go over and burn his fucking house down. Most of y'all who have watched the show previously, and especially you guys who know me, I'm 1,000% a huge animated series Batman fan. It is.
You had your showcase.
It was my first showcase. I have tattoos on my back of the animated series. Half my collection inside my office is animated series stuff, posters and pictures and everything. It was one of the things. I was a latchkey kid, so it was one of the things, and the main thing that kept me. That was the voice of my childhood. Like I remember every day rushing home to see that, and in that episode, I talk about like what it meant to me being an only child at home. That connection I had with, I know my mom wasn't dead, but she was at work. So same thing, you know what I mean? I wasn't around her hanging out. So that connection with Bruce and the idea that you can just be better than what you are. And Kevin Conroy, 1,000%, is the voice of Batman. And my favorite comic version of Batman, of course, is the Jim Lee run. That whole not just Hush, but anything he puts his hands on as Batman is gorgeous and it has great stories. But it's still Kevin Conroy's voice that is talking when I'm reading those comics. It's every time. He was the first person to ever give Batman and Bruce a separate voice and a differential in identity. He set the bar that everyone since has just followed. And from what I hear, unfortunately I never got to go to any cons and meet him. That'll always be a regret now, obviously. But he was supposed to be like this great guy. I know I've seen on like Instagram and stuff. Like say me, nobody Ricky could message him and be like, hey, my friend Gort's a huge animated series Batman fan. He would record a video happy birthday greeting as Batman, telling Gort happy birthday for nothing. He didn't charge you. You just reached out, told him you're a Batman fan. He just did it. The guy loved it, and he was very passionate with the fans and very like just real. Not, oh, you want to talk to me? That'd be $5. You know, he wasn't like that. And one of the things that I shared in the group about his passing, Hamill actually talks about him and says he's like one of the most genuine people he ever had the chance to work with, and was a great guy. So this one hit me kind of hard. Like I will say this one got me bad. I was at work when I found out, and it fucking sucked. It hit me hard. This one hit me harder than when I found out about fucking Stan Lee going, and that one tore me up some because he was such a huge part of my childhood too. And it's weird. Like I got very introspective at work today about we're getting to that age now that all these people we grew up around and our heroes, they're starting to go now, and it's
Agreed.
That hit me. Like now I'm getting my fucking old man vibes from it, you know. And so that tacked onto a guy that I loved from a show that died, and then oh my god, my kids are growing, and then like fucking spiral at work dealing with all this shit in my head at the same time. But
I share the same sentiment, bro. As a matter of fact, on Facebook, I had to post apologizing to people just in case I pass away abruptly. You know, saying that I wish I had gotten to spend more time with everybody. Because at the time that, you know, because at the age we're at, I look back and I realized this whole ride flew by so gosh damn quick. And we just lost this guy who I was not expecting to lose at all, especially at thing. But then
you're still
just
relatively
like you,
young, like 65.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, and he looks healthier than me, bro. I mean, he probably wasn't eating as many Taco Bells as I've been eating. So it makes me go wondering, oh man, what are my chances if I've been eating all them, you know, pizza, Mexican pizza this entire time? But yeah, no, I'm with you. I started to really look back at my mortality, where I am in life and stuff. Because because of people like us, we keep things really youthful because of the things that we're into, right?
Yeah.
Right. But when I take the time to step back and look at what I really am, I'm an old dude, and I'm like, yeah. So in case for anyone who I've met, out here in the hobby, I apologize if I do pass away, and let you all know that I wish that I had time to hang out and get to be closer and all this stuff. But as it is, I feel like I've taken things for granted. And when with him passing away, I definitely felt like, a lot of things I've taken for granted, because just like you said, I'd always thought that at some point I was going to meet this guy at a con and he'd be able to sign one of my Funko, Batman the animated Funko Pops or something. And now that he's not there, yikes, so that's
that's kind of
fucking
fucking sucky. It's one of my things, to being a huge Batman nerd. I like to do the arguing with who's the best and who's this and who's that. And one of the ones, and I know it's not a hugely popular opinion, but I always thought that the Heath Joker Ledger, while he did a good job, the Joker that was presented was very overrated to what they told us we were going to get. And so people be like, oh, fuck that, he's the best. And I'm like, well, actually, Mark Hamill's the best Joker. And they're like, oh, we're talking live action. I'm like, well, me too. And they're like, he's never been live action. I'm like, well, actually. And then I hit him with that shit. He has been a live action Joker, just people didn't realize it. And the argument with Batman, it never worked that way. He never did do a live action Batman. He did last year in that Year of Tomorrow or whatever, that League of Tomorrow shit. He was Bruce Wayne. So
wasn't he also Bruce in that Batwoman show that they did?
Yep.
Unfortunately, he got stuck with that bad show.
But he's also in an upcoming show that's coming out next year. Now, I was trying to read the article. I couldn't quite get a feel on it. They either finished it and they're in post-production just cleaning the show up and it's coming out next year, or they're in the middle of recording it. He's only going to be in part of it. But I know he's in a show coming out next year where he actually plays Bruce Wayne, and they said / Batman. So I don't know how they're going to handle
Does
that.
he finally get to put on the suit?
Dude,
I mean, it's a shame as
on
of right
video,
now,
on video, in
never
front of
had
all
a
these
chance to put on that
witnesses.
suit.
I will have a tear in my eye if he gets to put the bat suit on. Like it
He
will hit me.
he also
hard.
he also did Batman in the Arkham games.
Yep, the Arkham games, Batman, the New Adventures, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, a bunch of the DCEU cartoon movies. He's done them on there. The Batman and Harley Quinn movie, like he's done him across the board, multiple places.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at his list of voice credits, he's probably done a lot more shit that you didn't realize he was.
I didn't realize he was Merman in the Masters of the Universe Revelation
Merman.
show.
He did.
I didn't realize that was him.
He did Johnny Quest. Like he did. Like there's like this whole list. I'm like, holy fuck, he was in all this stuff. Like you didn't realize it because he's Batman. He's always going to be Batman.
No, he's always going to be Batman.
And I'm going to tonight, because I'm a big sappy emotional pussy, I'm going to put on my animated series soundtrack, and that'll be the album I listen to as I'm going to sleep tonight. Like it is, it's a big one, man. Like I much positive thoughts and love to his husband and their family and all the loved ones he had out there and all the other, fans. I know I'm not the only one. I when I talk about my fandom and my love of it, it sounds like I think I'm the only one. I know I'm not. Everybody that's a fan out there has that kind of story. So for anybody out there who feels that same way,
and that Batman animated series is a very, very popular series for a lot of people.
30 years later, and it's still considered one of the greatest cartoons of all time. Of all time. It'll go back and forth. It's usually your favorite one versus my favorite one. It's usually those two are the ones going back and forth in places.
And look, when I say that it wasn't my favorite show, don't get me wrong, doesn't mean I didn't like it. I've seen every episode from New Adventures on. For me, yeah, it's X-Men. Then it's the G1 Transformers show, and then it's that Batman animated series. I'm
not hate on anybody for it because that X-Men's great. I have that whole series too.
The more I think about it, I think I just love everything DC animated.
Yeah,
like I just think they do such a good job
because it's for the most part. It's very deep and very emotional, and you have to be a damn near perfect actor to carry that off and put that on.
Was he the Batman in Young Justice?
He might have been.
I don't remember.
That might have been, what is it, Manolo or whatever the guy's name was, does them sometimes.
I'm not sure.
But that's my 2 cents, because I can go for hours. Wolfie did have an idea. He said, maybe ask everybody their favorite episode of animated series. I'll top of my head, it's always going to be the My Silicone Soul episode with Hardak and the robotic Batman. I always loved that episode. That and the Mr. Freeze story, The Heart of Ice. Those two are top notch. And if I go into one of the later ones in the New Adventures, it's the one where I think it's Ace from the Royal Flush Gang, the little girl. And
wasn't that in the Justice League one?
That's in Justice League.
Was it Justice League? I thought it was the New Adventures, but that one,
that's an episode that always stuck with me.
Dude, that episode will rip you up, man. You have to be pretty much a fucking robot not to feel something when you watch that episode. That's great too, and that was him there too. I mean, he's just. But those two from the original animated series, Heart of Ice and My Silicone Soul, are my favorites.
The one that stuck to me the most, even though it's probably not the best episode, was the one where no matter what Bruce was reading, it didn't make sense because I think he realized he was in a dream. I forgot what episode that was.
Yeah, that was the Hugo Strange one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like and this
might be the same episode because I remember it's like the way that the text is written was what was throwing him off, but he also doesn't call himself Bruce in his own mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's Batman.
Yeah. It might have been the same one, but yeah, that I know what you're talking about. It's like it had that backwards writing or whatever. And that's what made him realize he was dreaming away. His parents were still alive and all that stuff.
There was one where they had the Justice League from the alternate universe in Justice League. So they
Unlimited?
come and they
The
leave
Justice-
Batman.
Justice League Unlimited.
No, the first. I think it's the 1st season.
Okay.
And Batman and all of them, like they're in like the alternate world, like in like Arkham or whatever. They they're trying to like get back to their world. And Batman seeks Batman's help, and they're both in the cave talking to one another. And then the camera just starts changing from one Batman to the next, and the discussion that they're having, like growing up being a child without parents and all that, it gets to a point where you don't even know which Batman is talking to which Batman until they just end up agreeing to help each other. Like evil Batman decides, I'll help you, and it's great. Like everything he did was great. Yeah, no, not great.
That stick out to me were the Robin origin when it was for that, and Heart of Ice is another one that when I think about that show, those ones always that stick out to me the most.
Totally reset Mr. Freeze's backstory. Like he didn't have that backstory up to that point, and that's the one that they've kind of the Nora Freeze and all that stuff. That's all based on the animated series because of that episode.
I also like any episode with I forgot what the puppet guy, not puppet,
Scarface,
the ventriloquist.
And ventriloquist. Yeah, those are always really good episodes too, for me.
And any episodes with the Joker were good too.
Yeah.
Well, not any of them. Mad Love was kind of jacked up.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Mad Love?
That cartoon episode. I'm not a big fan of the. I want a relationship like Joker and Harley. I think that shit's fucking sadistic, dude. He put her in a fucking rocket and tried to explode her at the end of the fucking episode. There's no
I
goddamn
think
love.
that's the point of their relationship.
Yeah,
But that's the point that everybody fucking misses. It's an abusive, sadistic relationship. It's not a type of love. Because everybody goes, that Dormammu just nailed my other one, Gray Ghost.
Yeah.
Because
which was Adam West playing that role, which is
I think I talked about that.
Childhood hero in the show.
I think I talked about that one when I did my thing because having that meta, it's Batman that we listened to as a kid talking to the Batman that we know now. Like I thought that was cool. But this is we just brought it up a minute ago. This is one of my favorite little tiny accessories that came on my stuff, and it's Nora Freeze in her snow globe that came with the cool. Mr. Freeze from the animated series. Like I literally, when I have Freeze on my shelf, he has his hand out and he has this just sitting in the palm of it just to be able to stare at her because that's a beautiful story. That Gray Ghost, another good one. Dormammu, look at you, man. Did you watch my showcase?
One of my favorites, and it's less Batman centric because it's all the bad guys sitting playing poker. Almost got him.
Almost got him. Yeah. I threw a rock at him.
Yeah. The Killer Croc kind, like everyone's got this like intricate story. They almost got him. Killer Croc threw a rock at him.
I threw a rock at him.
Got to be Batman dressed up as Killer Croc too, but it's very on point.
But if you play close to it, like I want to say there's one episode where he goes to fight Killer Croc, and Killer Croc really did throw a fucking rock at him and try to kill him. Like it almost worked. So like it was a whole. It was a nod back to a previous episode, even though Batman was faking it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. Like it'd be a shorter list if I told you the episodes that I didn't love. Like I still like them all, but it'd be a shorter list if I said, this one was just, it was okay.
I'd have to think hard about if I can place something on that list.
It was a good show all around, episode for episode.
And it still
had less bummer episodes than the X-Men series did. I'll tell you that. I'll be honest with you there.
Mm-hmm.
That X-Men series
it was a big rock.
It's funny you talk about
but it was a big rock.
People like me and you, normal people who think idealistically about the way I think things should be, will recognize that Mad Love was a terrible. The relationship between the two is a terrible thing to happen. But sadly, the statistics in life is just so lopsided. Like, for example, I believe that 70%, I think the statistics says that 70% of felons have kids. So that says a lot about, the kind of men that are successful when it comes to passing on their genes. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm gonna send. I'm sending a picture of Gort to pull up here in a second. But I have 2 main Batman tattoos. And both of them are Batman mixed with Harley Quinn, because I've said it before talking with you guys. I've always thought that his psychosis, because Batman is crazy. You have to be crazy to do what he does. Would go well with Harley Quinn's ability to be. This is on my back. I got this about 4 or 5 years ago, and then on my leg, I have another Batman one with Harley Quinn's in it, because in my head, I always thought those two would work together well.
Is it Harley Quinn inside a Batman, like the bat?
It actually is. It's the
Oh, yeah?
it's the Nolan Batman symbol with the Harley Quinn diamonds in the middle of it.
Okay.
It actually is. But her being a psychologist, she'd be able to understand his hurt and his pain and be able to help him work through it. And him being, quote unquote, a righteous man, a stand-up kind of guy, he would not treat her the same way Joker did in a relationship. So I always, in my head, I thought they would go better together.
Were you sending the other one too?
No.
Believe me, I want the Sims to win too, but that's not the way it works.
You got Catwoman. He's good.
Nah, Catwoman's trash. Overrated. Halle Berry ruined it.
Oh God, I know you don't. You're not being serious.
That movie was complete dog shit. I am being
agreed,
about that.
But doesn't mean that she ruined Catwoman.
Oh no.
I can't let one movie, one portrayal of a character ruin everything.
My thing.
Or I'd hate Halo for the rest of my life.
My thing with Catwoman is she will always be a bad guy. She has been given that opportunity by Bruce Wayne and Batman both, after she knew who he was, to stop being that person, and then he could love her, and she can't. Harley Quinn is a bad guy because of her relationship with Joker. So if she didn't have that instigating person in her life, she wouldn't act that way. They've shown that in the episodes too, where Harley Quinn went straight because she stayed the fuck away from Joker. And so to me, he could be with her. He could never be with Catwoman. If you read that comic arc where him and no, they weren't married. Go back and read the comics again. They almost got married. But
then they got married later. She skipped out on the episode. I mean, she skipped out on the wedding. It went through City of Bane. You're talking about the new current
kind of ish. Yeah, the new, yeah. I think it got reset 3 times last week. I don't know.
They wound up getting married eventually.
But to me, like, if you go back,
everything is canon with DC. Nobody knows what's going on.
That is a problem with DC Comics. Yeah.
It's either canon or not canon, but not canon at the same time.
If you go back and read up to that, they had to rewrite her whole entire personality. She did not act like the Catwoman in comics ever.
And we've known
get her to be able to marry him, because if she was that Catwoman, it would never happen, because Batman would be like, nope. I'll slap a bracelet on it before I put a ring on it. Like, he is like, nope. So that's how it was to me. Say. I know that's fanfic. That's all in my head. It makes sense if I was sit down and talk it out. I can make it make sense. But then you can sit down and talk out that Catwoman makes sense if she was with him, or that so and so with. But it's always been my thing. So like all my stuff is Batman and Harley Quinn. Like I even have this one I'll send Gort, because I don't remember if I had a picture to show you guys when I was talking about my collection at all. But this is hanging on my wall. It's actually, I saw this picture online, and it was a Harley Quinn and Joker picture, and I contacted the guy who made it. I'm like, could you change that? Like, do you take requests? He's like, yeah. I was like, could you change it to Batman and Harley Quinn? And he said, yep. And I ordered it. And it's framed and hanging on my wall. Like, Gort's getting around to pulling it up. You see, I have Batman, Harley Quinn stuff all over my room. It's just Batman pin on my hat, Harley Quinn pin in the box to go next to it. Like, it's there.
That version of Harley Quinn would work, but the way they're portraying her in all the other forms, I don't think Bruce Wayne would be caught dead with
Look,
her style. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, not now. Like they've changed her up, but again, that's a different personality. I'm talking strictly from the animated series point of view because that was that's my anchor spot. Everything else comes out from that. That's the one I always go back to.
Yeah,
But
to me,
I don't
Batman.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Batman. We can't figure out what the heck's going on with Batman because remember when they did the Doomsday Clock, right? Or the New 52 or whatever that or whatever they did after the New 52
Rebirth.
Rebirth, where they said that there were 3 Jokers.
And
then all of
the
a
3
sudden,
Jokers show was great. That show was great.
And they did the comics, and then it turns out that that's not canon, even though it's canon, and that's the part that threw me off.
Because it depends on what author is writing at that time and whether it's fucking canon or not.
Yeah,
and that's always kind of been an issue of mine with DC, so to speak. Marvel does
new shit. I was gonna say
not as bad. Marvel hasn't literally reset their universe 1,000 times.
Neither has DC. I mean, DC's done it like 7 times.
Marvel's gonna have to pretty soon because they need
Marvel's
closer to 1,000 than 0.
What Marvel does is they end their universe, they branch off into
they just tell you it's another fucking planet. Yeah.
and then they eventually fix that one to branch back into the main one. You know, like Age of Apocalypse, they move in there, Age of Ultron, but it's still eventually they wind up back where they're supposed to. DC just reboot.
Yep.
Reboot. And I get it.
It makes sense.
To an extent.
I think they've gotten heavy-handed with it recently. It's too much.
Yeah, it's easier to get readers in, you know, from the beginning, right? You know, if they never rebooted anything and it's been one continuity since Batman started, it's hard to go back and read some of these old. All right. Pre last 5 years, 10 years with internet, you know, which has made it very accessible to read old stuff. But let's say when we were in the 90s, you would have to find the books. You know, you would have to find the comics, and they reference old storylines that you want to know what's going on.
I get it to show up. That's Batman #1 right there. I have them all in order, coming all the way up till 2017 in order.
You wouldn't have been able to do that 10 years ago.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Because this one comic is like $5 million fucking dollars. Like literally, if you want to look
you're
at
not,
it, so.
It's hard. Like when I first got into X-Men, me trying to find out what the Dark Phoenix story was about and all this other stuff to go back, it's not easy to find this stuff and read this stuff.
Agreed.
That's the one good thing about the reboots is, in a way, you can kind of ignore all that other shit because they're starting over again. You don't have to, but you can. It's easier to do it. Now
the first big reboot was like the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think was the first big one in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was 45 years into the fucking run. They did a reboot. Since that one, there's been Infinite Crisis. What is it?
Which was dope.
Yeah, but there's more. There's
I know of Infinite, New 52, Rebirth, and I'm pretty sure there's at least one more or two that I'm.
But
not,
the Infinite one,
I don't follow DC as hard.
There's
so
the Infinite one. There's 3 of them. Like it's considered a trilogy that were broke up over 10 years. You know what I mean? So those 3 resets are all part of the Infinite Earths, trilogy. But that's what I'm saying. 45 years, 1. That was like, what, 86, 87? 30 years since then, 10 fucking more of them. Like, it's too fucking often to be happening. But that's because they don't have faith in their writers either. They pump out a bunch of fucking shit. They bring out a new writer. That new writer goes, I don't feel like reading what that person just wrote or having to follow that. So I'm going to reboot it and start it all the fuck over again. and then they change it again. If I at DC, you'd be like, no, go fuck yourself. You want to work on Batman? Read them goddamn comics. Make it fucking work with those comics.
That is what I've always felt. That is the biggest problem with anything that's adapted from this type of media, whether it's if you're like the Star Wars writers,
media, really.
I mean, not the Star Wars, the Transformers writers. These guys were not Transformers fans when they wrote those fucking Michael Bay movies. They didn't know,
those movies are also in the Pocket Universe.
Talking about toys. I can sit there and the reason why the G.I. Joe line is doing so well is because I believe that team are actually G.I. Joe fans.
The big guy was it Leo, Lenny, whatever his name is. You could tell he's a fucking fan.
Same thing with the Marvel team. When you talk to them and you hear them and you watch them, you can tell they are Marvel fans.
Let me interrupt you real quick, Eric, because I know where you're going with this one. Let Gort tell us what he thinks about his buddies on the Star Wars team.
I don't think they're Star Wars fans. I don't think Gort they know.
Them. Those are Gort's favorite people.
Even when they talk about it, they don't seem to have much energy or passion about
and they like mispronounce shit and they fucking flat out say shit wrong.
When they, and not to bring up the abomination of the Halo series, but they even told you that the writers never played a game, never read a book, and you had them write a story, which is why it was so fucking bad, which is why we got Master Cheeks. It's it's hard. It was horrible.
That's Eric's favorite episode.
If you need to find people that are fans of the franchises they're working on, they're going to give you the best content.
What would you go back and watch the Halo show if they did like a soft reboot in the season 2 to fix it?
No, you can't soft reboot shit. That shit is about as hard of a reboot as you can possibly get.
I hate on plenty of stuff, and like if I'm bitching about like Star Wars or I don't like the Bay movies and things like that, but I think that Halo TV show is like one of the most egregious things that ever happened to like television.
As soon as they took his helmet off and let him keep it off, they totally fucking ruined it.
I could have got past that.
That's the big.
I didn't want it. My preference. He keeps it on the entire time. I understand the way actors are and things work. It's not going to happen. I could have eventually got past the helmet being taken off if they would have actually given you a proper story going forward, but they didn't. And they continue to pile abomination on top of abomination on top of abomination.
But now then Cortana was shot into his brain and able to control his pee-pees.
See, Dredd. This is what made me appreciate Carl Urban's acting, role in Dredd.
He was willing to leave his helmet on the whole time.
Literally just this and sold the entire fucking movie.
The helmet's not even the problem. It's that whole. Can we definitely not talk about Halo because that is a dumpster fire?
I didn't know you had such a huge boner for Halo, Gort. Meaning you have another phone call.
Oh no, I'm a big Halo fan.
He's a Halo fan.
That is.
I did not know that, dude.
Awfulness incarnate.
There's a way to salvage that IP on TV, bro. It really can. What they have to do is just totally forget what happened with Master Chief and just do Halo Reach the movie. I think that would work.
I think they should stay cartoon. I don't think live action is where you're going to run into trouble every time.
It depends on the studio because you know what? They're live at when they did those scenes, the fight scenes. Those were the only good things in that fucking show. It's just that you only had 2 of them in an entire Halo show.
No,
those were the only good things about that show.
That was the only good.
It needs to go to the right channel, the right studio that's willing to put the money behind the budget. Obviously,
if you're gonna
Paramount
follow Master Chief. If you're following Master Chief and Blue Team, digital. It has to be a cartoon or CGI. If you want to do like they did with Nightfall, where it was live action with Luke Cage, the guy who plays Luke Cage and all that, that's fine because he's not a character we're already attached to that we know, and it should be XYZ. Remember the preconceived notions of what we're walking into.
Yeah.
You can't make a live action movie that matches anybody's preconceived notions of those Halo games at all.
I still think it can be done. You can still give me a good live action Halo. I don't think we've got it.
Don't ever show Master Chief. Never have him on the screen.
I know. No, you need. You know what you do. You gotta get it. You gotta get an actor in that role that's not gonna take his helmet off, and you have the guy from the game do the voice. You know, you
That
pay
was
some
another big
fucking
fail. Yeah.
you made some you pay some fucking chump off the street who's 6 foot
Hell,
something.
I'll go
You
be
know,
Master
who's
Chief with
working
the
at
helmet on.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Look, hey, look, we want look. You fit the bill. You don't have to talk. You just have to wear the suit. Here's $20,000.
If they can
You know what?
de-age
I'm going on
motherfuckers,
vacation. Let's go. I'm in.
if they
You
can
know?
de-age motherfuckers, they could de-fat ass myself, and I'll be Master Chief. They can keep my helmet on and let somebody else
It could
talk
be
for
done
me.
if they really wanted to be done.
Well, you look at the Mandalorian, and most of the time Pedro's not in that costume; it's the stunt guys. But he's really just the voice.
Yeah.
You know.
I
But
know
even he
Netflix
had to
did
fucking
Gears
screw
of
the
War.
pooch and take his helmet off. Even he had to push for that.
Yeah, but that's it. Like he doesn't have it off like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like if Master Chief, Master Chief's allowed to take his helmet off. He just doesn't need to take it off for like 90% of the time. That's
Or ever show
Exactly.
his face on screen, because the point in Master Chief is wish fulfillment. We want to be a badass. As soon as he takes his mask off, if you do not look like him, you no longer feel like you are that character. That was
doesn't
always
even
the point to Master Chief, is anybody
that
can be
show is
Master Chief.
just fucking.
I'm wondering how Netflix is going to handle Gears of War because they're
They're gonna
doing
fuck it
the
up.
Gears.
Yeah, they definitely will.
They've
You
already
know
started
what?
off on the
Well,
wrong
but you
foot. They've
know-
already started off on the wrong foot. They're gonna have fucking Jackass in that shit. No, thank you.
No, you see, look. This is Sam's fault for giving you clickbait media. What Sam posted is not about.
First of all,
Is
I
a
didn't click on anything.
promo.
I don't fall for click shit.
Sam posted a video of Batista as Marcus Phoenix. That was done for the Gears 5 video game, which came out 5 years ago for a DLC. You know, he wants to be in the Gears movie. Netflix just announced that they're doing it. They didn't. This is not a promo for that series that's coming out. All we know is Netflix is doing Gears of War. With Netflix,
It's
you
like
never
that,
know.
The Rock wanted to be Black Adam type fucking thing.
Yeah, well, Batista doesn't have the pull The Rock does. As popular as he is, he's still not The Rock.
No, I'm not saying he
So-
does, but I'm saying it's like that same kind of thing. He's just saying he would like
Exactly.
To do.
He wants. He actually pitched
Campaign.
a Gears of War movie to
Thank
Warner
you,
Brothers.
Yul. I
at
couldn't
one
think of
point.
that word.
He actually pitched a Gears of War movie to Warner Brothers years ago. So he's a big fan of it. So I appreciate that you're a fan of it, which means you'll try to do it right. I don't see him as Marcus Phoenix, but that's just me. Netflix can do some really good shit, and they can do some really
gonna
bad
mess it
stuff
up.
too. So you never know what you're gonna get with Netflix.
They're
So
already
you turn it
messing
on,
up,
start
and it's gonna
streaming.
and it already started with the guy who's playing Geralt. They
Well,
lost him.
that's not their fault. That's him. He's the one who backed out.
Do you know why he
he
backed
did
out,
because
though?
he
Yeah,
that's what
because
he
called
said.
back
He said
Superman.
Wrong.
No.
Wrong.
Oh, no, why?
Not at all.
That's what he happens to be
Yes.
doing now. But he always said he was a huge fan of the Witcher book series,
Mhm.
and he said,
Mhm.
"I will always do Geralt as long as they stay within the stories in the book."
Yeah.
The fucking dumbass production company popped out like about 6 months to a year ago in an interview and said, "The books are kind of boring, so we're going to start making our own stories moving forward." And as soon as they said that shit, that motherfucker said,
I didn't know
"I'm
that.
out."
The way you were
Yeah.
talking earlier about the writers on like a Transformers movie, they don't know what the
Mhm.
stuff is. They were just thrown the name Ironhide and Ratchet, and we're like, all right,
Yeah.
make a story.
Mhm.
That's what the writers are kind of to The Witcher. They don't care about the source material. They're just they
Yeah,
want
no,
to stick it
Are
in.
these the same
Yeah.
guys who did the first two seasons?
Yes.
'Cause I enjoyed the first season.
Yeah.
I never read the Witcher book, so I can't tell
He's
you.
giving
I've
a lot
enjoyed it
of
because I
input,
haven't read the
and
books.
If you if you read like a number of interviews or watch like the video interviews, like whatever it is, and all the other actors on the show, they'll tell you it's like Henry Cavill's the one correcting a lot of wrongs. The only reason it is as good as it is because he came in and kind of told them, no,
Like,
this
no, that's
way.
not how that happened.
Like
This is
the,
how
the
that
man
would work.
should just be the writer for the show too, really.
Yeah.
It's
not how
it's
it is.
kind of like the saying in Braveheart, right? The problem with Scotland is that it's full of Scots. I think that's what's happening with the show. And there's like the problem with
Did you
canon
watch Braveheart
is that
today?
it's full of
That's like
canon.
your-
Yeah,
It's so
time.
You
Braveheart
quoted Braveheart
today. Did you
several
watch-
times.
I know.
did you
It's my
watch
favorite
Braveheart
movie,
today
man. I
recently?
love it.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull a Gort here. we're gonna do a hard stop. It's after 11.
Got to wrap it up, B. Wrap
The
it.
link, I will be putting out a new link for an unbroadcasted. It'll be Google because I hate StreamYard on my phone. I want to thank you for jumping on with us tonight. Rock Jesus,
Thanks for having.
Esteban. It was great having you on. Gort, where can they find you at? Or are we doing all this for a hangout? No.
No. Don't find
I
me.
just want to leave it with
Don't find me.
RIP Kevin.
Don't find me.
All
Send
right.
Gort lots of Bad Batch stuff.
No.
Without helmets.
Lots of Bad Batch stuff. Send him Bad Batch stuff, guys. I'll send out that link in a minute.
Don't
Peace.
send me anything.
Say it with me now.
Really?